and welcome everyone. If you want to know how I made this beautiful painting with these beautiful cells only using the Action pouring medium, then keep on watching. This is a video of me mixing the paints from the review video that I did on the pouring medium from the Action, because I did film it for this pour, but the lighting was bad, it didn't come out right and you couldn't see the consistency that well. And when I'm making the paints here, you can see it very well, so that's why I'm using this. I only add the pouring medium from the Action to the paints. I don't add any water, which I do for the float-roll mixes. I only use the Action pouring medium here. The mix you use with the Action pouring medium needs to be a little bit thicker than it normally is, especially a little bit thicker than what I normally use, because you need a little bit more of silicone to make the cells a bit bigger, but you need the right consistency to keep the cells when the painting dries. If you don't do the right consistency, the painting will either crack or the paint will flow too much and the cells will lose their shape. I'm adding a little pouring medium at a time, because I don't want to make it too thin. So I'm adding it, I'm mixing it, looking at the consistency. If I want to add more, then I put a little bit more pouring medium in it, and then I mix it again. I look at the consistency again, and that's how it goes. I could weigh out everything to know exactly how much pouring medium I add, but that's just not how I work. I just look at the paint and see how it flows off the stick. And I want a little mound on a mound in the cup, so you don't want the paint to flow back in straight away in the paint. You want it to leave a little mountain of paint. If you are checking the consistency, don't take the stick out too high, because otherwise the paint will flow straight in and you don't get the mound on the mound. So when you check it, leave the stick a bit on the rim of the cup, so when it flows off you can check the consistency of the paint. If your consistency is too thin, then you can always add some more paint to it after you mixed it, as long as you don't add paint after you added the silicone already. So make sure your consistency is exactly right when you want to add the silicone. I've put like 4 drops of silicone in a cup that full like the white here in the video, and then I added 3 to the other paints that are not that full in the cup, and then I added 2 drops to the metallics, which is a bit more than I would usually do, but it's because it works better for this pouring medium. So back to the pour. I sprayed my cup with silicone spray like I normally would, again, because that's just how I like it. The paint releases more easily from the cup now. I made this part a bit slower so you can see the consistency of my paints for this pour. It is a bit thicker, so it just holds up and lays on top of the other paints, and you will see it later in the video as well when I'm tilting the painting, that the paint doesn't move that easily on the canvas. Again, I'm using a thicker consistency, but a bit more silicone than I would normally use, 2 to 3 drops depending on how much paint is in the cup. I'm also not using too much paint because I don't want to overstretch the cells, so it's a bit less than the other pour, so I don't pour a lot of paint off the canvas. I'm just filling it up about a centimeter under the rim of the big cup. As you can see in the reflection of the light, the paint holds its shape a bit when you pour it in the cup, so it doesn't go as flat as a thin consistency. When you flip the cup, just wait a little bit. This is a bit faster, so it's a larger time frame me waiting before flipping the cup. It's a thickened consistency, so it needs a bit more time to flow all the way down to the bottom or the opening of the cup. That's why you have to wait a bit before flipping it over. That's also why I use silicone spray to spray the cup, to make it more easily for the paint to flow out of the cup. Because the paint is a bit thicker, you need the burner to pop the bubbles and to make the silicone help come up to the surface, so you get the bigger cells. If you have a thinner consistency and you use the burner, the cells will grow really big, and when you tilt they will go out of shape. So as you can see here, the paint is a bit thicker. This is in real time, so you see how slow it moves, but that makes it more easy to keep an eye on the painting, to keep the cells in shape. It's way easier for me at least to work with. Again, I'm using the burner to pop the last bubbles so I don't get the little pinholes, and also to make the cells that are on there a bit larger. I'm moving it around a bit because I don't like the composition at the moment, so I'm just moving it around to make the composition that I like. But always keep your eyes on the cells when tilting, because you might forget it sometime and then the cells will be wobbly or overstretched, and you don't want that. At least I don't want that. Don't forget, when you move to the right, always move back to the left. You have to make circular movements to move the paint back to where it was, so the cells keep their shape and you don't get really that outstretched look. I think I got the consistency and the amount of silicone down right now. The painting looks a lot more like my normal paintings that I do with Floetrol, and I'm really happy with the result. It looks way better than the previous paintings that I showed with the pouring medium. In the end, I'll show you a picture of when the painting was dry, and it will show you that how it looks now. It stayed exactly like that when it dried. So I found out how to work with the Action pouring medium. I hope this video was helpful. I hope it gave you an idea how to use the Action pouring medium. Please don't use the ratio that's on there. 1:1 is not gonna work. It's gonna be way too liquid. At least not for the cells that I like to make. Your paint also might crack because it's way too thin. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. It's much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video.